Good day. Welcome to another Rhythms of the Culture program. We are featuring none other than Mr. Steve HYACINTH, who is the director of the very well-known New Dimension Theatre. He's also a former permanent secretary in the Ministry of Tourism and a former chief education officer. We'll take a short break, come back to talk to Steve HYACINTH. Back in a moment. The first edition of Rhythms of the Culture. In this very new television program, we'll be highlighting various expressions and aspects of Dominica's culture. Tassia, let's start off with you giving us a bit of your background for persons who don't really know you like that well. Where you were born, where you grew up, where you went to school. So, Ophelia, you've performed in just so many places all over. What are some of the performances that stand out in your mind as probably the more memorable?
Alden, you traveled with the People's Action Theatre through the Caribbean. You mentioned a couple of islands and Caribbean countries that you traveled to.
Welcome back to Rhythms of the Culture. Our guest on this program is Steve HYACINTH. So welcome, Steve, to the program.
Welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure being here. I didn't realize that you had such a good thing going on here. So really, it's a pleasure to be here.
But Steve, you've had a great track record, I have to say, in terms of the staging of plays in Dominica. How many?
33.
33 plays. Almost on an annual, well, I think on an annual basis with the New Dimension Theatre. What is it you think one has inspired you so much and kept you going for such a long time?
Well, actually, I started off at a Goodwill Primary School and did a few skits with the students into the cultural division around school festivals. That's where I started off. Yeah. And after winning for 3 consecutive years, I felt it was not fair to the other schools. I felt I had something more to offer. So I then went on to form the New Dimension Theatre with Hartley Adams, who was also a teacher, and Merlin Sentile and Jerry Coppell, teachers. These are my partners. And we decided to form the New Dimension Theatre in 1984. And from that time, we have been producing plays off and on. Because I recognize God has blessed me with a gift of writing, and so I wanted to use it. And that I have been doing every year up till now. Some people wonder where I get the time. Well, my recreation is writing. So on the weekend, after I do my gardening, I come in and I take my computer and I begin to write. On a Sunday, I also go to church. After I go to church, I come back. That's what I do.
Yes, it's writing. It's a way of occupying your pastime.
Yes.
Really. Yes.
Well, it's funny because you see, when you're writing, you experience the pain, the joy, the sorrow of the character. And we don't understand that, because everybody have a different personality. So if I have 7 persons in the play, the 7 persons have different varying personality. And so you experience what that person, goes through at that particular time, and that to me is fun because I laugh, I feel sorry, So you go through those emotions, and it's really a beautiful gift that God has given me.
Yeah. When you look back on all of those plays that you've done, which are the ones, and I know maybe you would say all of them have been, but which are the ones that kind of stand out in your mind in terms of your own personal achievement, in terms of public response? Maybe you've taken them overseas, maybe they've done very, very well. Which are the ones that kind of stand out in your mind?
Well, Your Son, My Husband stands out as our #1 play for now, because we have traveled all over with this play. And when I say all over, I mean all over. We have gone to Guyana, Barbados, Trinidad, Nevis, Antigua. We have traveled with this play, and the response has always been tremendous. Persons have been asked us to come back with it and do it. We did it in Dominica for 2 full weekends, And that to me is remarkable.
Remarkable,
We in Dominica,
yeah.
2 full weekends. And people are still asking, when are you going to come back with it? They want me to bring it back. We are still toying whether we should do it again or do it on video. I have also done a sort of a movie out of it. Right, funding and so forth is a little difficulty at this time, but I have done a movie out of it. So that is there, and we have it on ice, as we can say, and it may be something that we may do later. But really, Your Son, My Husband, after Your Son, My Husband, Why Sweetie, Masquerader, Drum Voices, I mean, so many of them. These are plays that have really done well in Dominica and that we have tested elsewhere, and the response have been tremendous.
I was going to ask you again, in terms of public response in Dominica now, through the years, I guess there have been high times, high moments, maybe average moments, and so how has the public response been, and how is it now, right now, to theatre?
Well, we have reached a climax somewhere along the line. But I noticed that there is a slight change in terms of our patrons. And one of the reasons, one member of my group attributed to the fact that persons who used to come to a place, now them have moved on beyond the grave. So that's one factor. But I did not really hold that as a true reason. I feel the culture, our young people have not yet been grown into those performances, and so they do not come. Or if parents would come, they would leave these children at home, or they might have their own kind of entertainment. I think the music, the kind of music that they appreciate now, they will not come to play to see that. So if we clash with a band that is having the kind of music that they enjoy, we would not expect to see them there. But really and truly, I don't think as yet Dominica has bought into theatre to that extent that they come out in very large numbers. I say in theatre, dance theatre also, and even musical groups. So maybe experiencing the same thing that I'm experiencing, because I don't see the very large crowds that we normally had or we had previously. Our Saturday night is still good, but I would like to see us going to 2 weekends instead of a 1 weekend, kind of thing. I think we have the population that we could go that. When we go to other countries, it's a flood, and we wonder why it is that when we are here, we don't see 2 weekends straight, that we can hold the theatre for 2 weekends in Dominica. One of the setbacks, though, I mean, we have HYAC, which it has its limitations, it has its strength, has its limitations. Personally, I like to see more lights there and the sound system to be working, because that could be a distraction. And if people come to play and they can't hear you clearly, or that big hum comes in from time to time, obviously it's a setback. When you can stay in the drawing room and admire what you see on the television, even if the quality is not as high even as what we do. So I think that is one. But in terms of Dominica, I would want to see at least 1 or 2 other spaces around the island that we can utilize. We go to Portsmouth, but we use a church hall. It's an empty hall. We have to bring in the lights, we have to bring in our sound systems, and so so it's something that we do to make it work. But other than that, we don't have another facility that we could take it to the east, we could go to the extreme south, we could go down to the extreme north, and to the west. That kind of thing. I think we're lacking in that respect. So the growth of the theatre is not as dynamic as it should be in Dominica, but it can be dynamic if we do that. I'll tell you why. Because we have some talents. We have great talents in Dominica. From the exception of the group, I've been looking at the growth of young people who pass through the dimension theatre, and it's tremendous. I mean, Donnell Blackmore, we underrate her in Dominica, but she is one of the top actresses in the Caribbean, and Donnell can match anybody elsewhere. I've seen Jerry Coppell, he has grown, and we have Brown is very good, and so when they stand up against other Caribbean actors and actresses, I see them, and I know that their potential are just as good. So then why is it that when other persons would come to us here, we see people come out to see them, but we don't hear those people's name mentioned, we don't see them come to see those people. So it is all that I feel that we can work on to create the kind of appreciation for what we have and to give the kind of a support to what we have that will help us to have larger groups coming out to these performances and sort of stimulate the actors and actresses to even come better than they came before.
Yes. We're talking to Steve Hyacinth, director of the New Dimension Theatre. We'll take a short break and come back to continue our conversation with Steve. Back in a moment.
Yeah.
The first edition of Rhythms of the Culture. In this very new television program, we'll be highlighting various expressions and aspects of Dominica's culture. Tassia, let's start off with you giving us a bit of your background for persons who don't really know you like that well. Where you were born, where you grew up, where you went to school. So, Ophelia, you've performed in just so many places all over. What are some of the performances that stand out in your mind as probably the more memorable?
Now, Owen, you traveled with the People's Action Theatre through the Caribbean. You mentioned a couple of islands and Caribbean countries that you traveled to.
The first edition of Rhythms of the Culture. Welcome back to Rhythms of the Culture. We're talking to Steve Hyacinth. And Steve, your latest play, Not Until. I mean, I've seen many of your plays. I thought that was another brilliant piece. I must say I enjoyed it thoroughly. I saw you brought in a lot of new actors as well. I like the script, I like the movement. In terms of, as I mentioned, new actors, I noticed you keep a balance of your veteran actors and you still bring in new actors. Is it that you try to kind of maintain a balance all the time with your group?
Well, we have a reputation to maintain. The name of the group is the New Dimension Theatre. So there has to be a newness at all times in our production. So what we do for every production, we tend to bring in one new person at least. But this time I say, hey guys, quite a number of young people came in to join our group. I say, look, I do not want them just sit by not doing anything, so we are going to nurture them into this play. And that's what it is. So I strike the balance. As many as I could bring in, I brought them in to do that. And amazingly, I mean, I was surprised at the potential. I was surprised at the manner and the seriousness, the manner in which, the discipline, how they took the theatre, and how they responded to the call to come to rehearsals and what they do at rehearsals, how they took it seriously. I mean, I was very much amazed. So I wasn't surprised that we are still going to maintain our high standard, which is something that is built into our motto, excellence at all times. So when that was part of it. When we drill them into that, that's what we do here. They got it. And the little workshops that we did whilst they were on stage, you know, in terms of characterization, what to look for, the PIMPS and so forth, you know, they got that. And I could see them really working through the whole experience. So I was really happy to see that.
And Steve, maybe some of our viewers might be asking, boy, I wonder what New Dimension coming up with next. So that I have to, and I'm sure you're working on something. I'm almost certain that you are working on something new. As to whether you want to tell us about it, that's something else. But
well, basically, it is something I'm calling I Am the Boss. I am the boss. It is set in a shopping center, supermarket, the office of a supermarket, and the name of the play is I Am the Boss. That's the most I would say at this time. So if you want to see who is the boss, you will have to come out and see it. And we're hoping to do that somewhere at the end of November, first week in December, just around that time. That's where we're aiming at.
So are you staging 2 new plays now a year?
That's what we're doing.
Because at one time it was 1 new play a year,
yes,
wasn't it?
Yes. When I was working, obviously, but now I'm home. I'm going for 2, and we might do 1 that we have done previously. So we might do 3. Yeah, we'll go back in time and bring 1 forward.
Wow.
But we're going to do 2, at least 2.
I mean, to do 1 a year is a big, and to do 2 a year, is even more amazing. But certainly, I want to encourage you all.
Yes.
Because I think, the public always looks forward to seeing plays and wonderful theatre.
Oh yes, we have a following, and amazingly, they would meet me and they would question it, when's the next one?
Yes.
Taking too long, you're taking too long. So we know we have a following. But I'm talking about the persons who have not yet come, persons we have not seen walking into the hour to see our plays. But may have some comments and will have some judgmental, perspective on them. I would say to you, come and see before you judge. And after you have come and you've seen, then make a decision whether you should come back.
Now, earlier in the program, Steve, we mentioned briefly that the group had traveled to some Caribbean, but you have traveled in the region a number of times with your group and staged several of your plays. How has the Caribbean response been to the New Dimension Theatre?
I remember, and I hold dearly to those. I still have the reviews at home. That one we got in Barbados from the Advocate, and one we got in Guyana when we went there for Carifesta. I have never seen a crowd reacted in the manner in which I've seen the Barbados crowd reacted to Your Son, My Husband. There were some cameramen there from the various newspapers who were sitting in the queue, and a certain time I saw the cameras in the air and the guys on the floor. It's amazing the sort of response we got there for that play. And also in Guyana, it was Carifesta. They gave us 1 night, but when they saw what happened the first night, they said, you guys have to repeat that play the following night. So we had to stay on to do it again in Guyana. My group went to Trinidad. I wasn't along with them because I had some other engagement, but they told me the same thing happened in Trinidad, so much so that they performed in Tobago. But when they saw the performance in Tobago, they say, you guys have to come to do it play in Trinidad itself. So I mean, I know that when we do something, we do it well. It's not a boast. It's the confidence that I have in my group and the actors and the performers. They do it well. They really put themselves into it, and so when we come out, it's something that has gone through that same kind of a routine, and we intend to better it, that every time we come out to the public, that we do something that is interested, we're stimulated, at that level where any family member can come in and see it, and sit down and enjoy it, and after they can go home and even discuss the implications therein.
And I know you have received some awards, Steve. I know the group too has received some awards. If you could just remind us as to which of those, some of the awards that you have already received.
Well, I've gotten the Golden Drum and also the Meritorious Award for acting. The group has received quite a number of awards. So, Best Play, Best Director Award, Best Actor Award, Fame, and all those places. These different organizations that came, saw the productions, and they awarded us. But what really holds us together is the bond, the love that we have for theatre. So yes, the awards are there, and so, but really, what the glue to the group is the love for theatre, and love to hear the persons on the street when they meet us and say, I enjoy the production, I enjoy the play, when are you coming again? Because I feel, you see, when you do that, you're providing an opportunity for persons to get out of that world, maybe of loneliness sometimes, maybe of stress, pains and so forth, and you're giving them some relief, something that they can identify, something that they can appreciate. So that really holds more for me. It's not much of the award and the accolades that people give to me. Such.
So, Steve, if you could touch now just a bit on your work in the public service, quite apart from your tremendous work in theatre, I just wanted to touch a bit because you were Permanent Secretary of Tourism, you spent many years as Chief Education Officer, now you're retired. But when you look back on your service now, with working with the government of Dominica and the contribution that you made there, how do you feel now at this stage when you look back on it?
If I had to walk the road again, I would have walked it. From the day when I went to the Rosa Girls School as an unqualified teacher to the days that I spent in the ministry as Chief Education Officer. At all levels of my development through the educational system, I've touched lives. And that to me is the most important thing. Even as Chief Education Officer, when students were sent out of school, and I asked them to take them back. Principals talk to the principal, say, get the child back to school, let the child continue his education, and they have gone on and done well at CXC. I feel nice about it because I've helped someone who could be somewhere else to be what they are today. So I have lived a life in the educational system that I have absolutely no regret. No regret actually.
Yeah. And then now that you are retired, of course, you're getting more time now to write plays, as you alluded to, and I'm sure you're finding time to do other things as well.
Yes. I always have a passion. I'm from Wesley. That's where I was born, that's where I grew up, that's where my parents live, and they went through the early days of agriculture when it was booming and made it. And I always loved agriculture. So now that I'm at home, I have a little space in my backyard. I spend my mornings, my days out there doing work in my garden and cutting the bill, the house bill. Robo doesn't have to go to the market again. I supply her with a stuff. I enjoy it.
Yes, and of course, you're quite right. It helps to cut down the costs. Things that you would be buying and purchasing in the market, you now are growing it at home.
Very much so.
Of course, that
and I know exactly what I put in it. So I know what I eat. But when you buy it
Yes.
somewhere else, you sure don't know what to eat.
Yeah, precisely. And of course, it's healthy as well when you grow those vegetables
stuff.
and that kind of thing. Now, earlier on the program, you mentioned you had done a movie. So apart from staging plays in a theater, you have also attempted movie making. Are there other things maybe that you would want to try in the future?
Well, a soap opera. I would like to do a soap, television, most likely on radio. I prefer television. I think I'm more tuned to the television writing. If I get the opportunity to do a soap, I would take on that challenge. But really, I mean, television is a thing now, and I really want to switch. Not switch, but at least add on that new dimension to new dimension, where we begin now to look at the television, producing for the television. We have on our website, the New Dimension Theatre website, on Facebook, we have one of our plays that you can go on there and you can see it. House of Shingles, part 1, because we have a part 2 to it. And Marita is the expert on that. She told me, Daddy, we have over 2,000 clicks or something, that thing. So she monitors and she said, that's going. This last one we just did, we also have it on DVD. So if there are persons who want to see it on DVD, we can provide them with that.
With that, yes. We're talking to Steve HYACINTH, Director of the New Dimension Theatre. We take a short break and come back for the conclusion of this Rhythms of the Culture program. Back in a moment. The first edition of Rhythms of the Culture. In this very new television program, we'll be highlighting various expressions and aspects of Dominica's culture. Tassia, let's start off with you giving us a bit of your background for persons who don't really know you like that well. Where you were born, where you grew up, where you went to school. So, Ophelia, you've performed in just so many places all over. What are some of the performances that stand out in your mind as probably the more memorable?
Now, Alden, you traveled with the People's Action Theatre through the Caribbean. You mentioned a couple of islands and Caribbean countries that you traveled to.
Welcome back for the conclusion now of Rhythms of the Culture with Steve Hyacinth. Steve, in closing, what advice would you want to give some of our viewers, especially the young ones who may be interested in theatre, they might be interested in joining the New Dimension Theatre, or even becoming a writer, director like yourself? What advice would you give to them?
Well, advice, I say to you, you can check our Facebook account on Facebook and you can indicate your interest and we'll contact you. And obviously, we have an open house policy. Although we ask of you, if you want to be a member, you need to be drug free. And then you can come to be part of us. That is our standard. That's what we live by. We have lived for years, that you must be drug free when you come in. So if you want to be, come. And we'll work you through the various areas of the theater. And then you could find your niche, what area you like. And you could be on stage or backstage. Because we have a group of persons who have never seen the stage yet. They work backstage. Yes. So yeah, so you can find your niche, your area of interest, and work with you. Those of you who have not yet seen a New Dimension Theatre production, I would advise you to come and see for yourself what we offer. And I can assure you, we won't disappoint.
Thank you very much, Steve, and congratulations again on your wonderful career, both in the public service and in the field of theatre and culture. So we have been talking there to Steve Hyacinth, former PS of Tourism, former Chief Education Officer, and of course, still current Director of the New Dimension Theatre, producing wonderful plays in Dominica. I want to thank you for watching, our viewers, and want to invite you again next time to join us for another edition of Rhythms of the Culture. I'm Raymond Lawrence. Thanks for watching.